Prince Harry's name has been mentioned in court documents related to allegations. Sean Diddy Combs.
Well, Nancy, Prince Harry was mentioned right at the beginning of this case exploding. And then the next big lawsuit came from Rodney Little Rod Jones. And in that lawsuit, he mentioned that Combs' connections to big celebrities and even British royalty gave him legitimacy so that he could use his parties and his events to cover up crimes like freak-off parties.
Diddy's trial just confirmed the last name we ever expected to be caught in his web, Prince Harry. His name is now permanently attached to a case built on freak-offs, t-fficking, and international power plays. And after new court documents dropped, the public is asking,
how did Prince Harry, how did he get in to Diddy's cesspool?
Because what seemed like gossip a year ago has now been entered into official testimony.
The document in the court names the Duke of Sussex as one of Combs' guests.
Let's break down exactly what happened, why Harry's name was dragged into this in the first place, and what the court, the media, and even Harry himself are now forced to admit. For years, Diddy's social calendar was more than just flashy events. It was a psychological operation. The court filings reveal that Diddy built a system around proximity. Proximity to fame, proximity to royalty, proximity to power. According to Lil Rod's 73-page lawsuit, Diddy's operations ran like an illusionist's act. Distractions, high-profile guests, and smoke and mirrors optics to draw attention away from the alleged t-fficking use and abuse happening behind the scenes. And central to that illusion, name dropping.
And in that lawsuit, he mentioned that Combs' connections to big celebrities and even British royalty gave him legitimacy so that he could use his parties and his events to cover up crimes like freak-off parties.
That's how Prince Harry entered the story. It wasn't because he attended one of Diddy's wild freak-offs. He didn't have to. Diddy understood how the game worked. In elite social circles, who you know is currency. And if you don't really know them, then who you've invited is the next best thing. That's what makes the 10 invitations to Prince Harry and his brother Prince William so important.
When they were young bucks growing up and they were getting in a lot of trouble themselves, so hey, I was like, why don't you come hang out with me?
Former publicist Rob Shooter confirmed that Diddy aggressively pursued both royals for years, trying to get them to one of his A-list parties. He offered them the best flights, the finest hotels, and personal VIP setups. It didn't matter to Diddy whether they came. What mattered was that he could say he invited them. It was a strategic power move, because just floating Prince Harry's name in the room gave the impression that Diddy's world was elite enough to attract royalty. That alone gave him a kind of social immunity. Few people would think to question what was really going on behind the curtains of a party supposedly open to princes and pop stars. And when the lawsuit filed by Lil Rod revealed that Diddy continued to use these names to legitimize questionable events, that illusion shattered, leaving Prince Harry's name stuck in the debris. And when the lawsuit filed by Lil Rod revealed that Diddy continued to use these names to legitimize questionable events, that illusion shattered, leaving Prince Harry's name stuck in the debris. But the real turning point came when the media picked up that detail, and no one amplified it louder or more brutally than Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace didn't mince words. Her now viral broadcast dropped like a bomb across every news channel and gossip site.
Breaking news tonight, Diddy's Prince Harry into a cesspool.
It wasn't just the wording that caught people off guard, it was the unapologetic tone. Grace's point was clear. This wasn't about whether Prince Harry broke the law. It was about how Diddy used Harry's name over and over to shield himself from scrutiny. And according to Grace, that's even more dangerous. She emphasized how Diddy's access to powerful people wasn't casual. It was intentional. It was curated. Behind every celebrity invite was a calculated decision to craft a wall of public perception that made it harder to accuse him of criminal behavior. Prince Harry was just one of many names in that wall. Nancy and her panel of investigators pointed out that Harry was the perfect figure for Diddy's scheme. He had global fame, a complicated royal past, and a desire to forge new relationships outside the crown. Diddy saw opportunity in that. The idea of having British royalty brush elbows with hip-hop moguls, athletes, and industry titans was exactly the kind of crossover clout Diddy fed off of. Grace argued that the manipulation went beyond the public. It even confused the courts, because if Diddy could make prosecutors and judges believe his events were nothing more than elite networking spaces, the more insulated he became. And what better insulation than Prince Harry? To Nancy Grace, that wasn't just reputation washing, that was control. A twisted kind of PR domination where your name becomes part of a narrative, whether you said yes or not. And Prince Harry wasn't the only target. He was part of a much bigger pattern, a playbook Diddy had perfected long before the public caught on. According to insiders, Diddy built his network in the same way a tech startup recruits investors, by collecting endorsements, implied associations, and strategic partnerships. He name-dropped athletes, actors, and executives, but the inclusion of royalty took his illusion to the next level.
When he wanted to use his association with the British royal family that he didn't have in any way, shape, or form to try and drag people, into this circle that he has.
This blueprint was simple but effective. Extend invitations to high-status individuals. Use those invitations, whether accepted or not, as proof of connection. Broadcast that connection to others in the room. Let word of mouth build the illusion. That's what happened with Prince Harry. Diddy didn't need a selfie. He just needed people to believe that royalty might show up. That belief alone gave his freak-offs a veil of legitimacy. But here's where it becomes psychological warfare. Once Diddy inserted Harry's name into his world, even through indirect associations, it created an impossible situation. If Harry publicly denied ever having a connection, he looked defensive. If he stayed silent, the public assumed it was true. Either way, his reputation was now intertwined with Diddy's. This is why media analysts now call it the Harry Blueprint. It was the prototype for how Diddy absorbed influence without consent. It turned refusal into affiliation. It blurred lines between participation and proximity. And for Prince Harry, who's fought his entire adult life to control how the media perceives him, this was a deeper violation than anything the British tabloids ever pulled. Because this time, it wasn't just about gossip, it was about being claimed. And once Harry realized how deep his name had been pulled into Diddy's orbit, he knew silence wasn't an option.
Just look at the front page of the Sun today. He's making headlines there. He's been named in a US court documents relating to the rapper P. Diddy, whose real name is Sean Combs.
Already knee-deep in legal wars against the Sun and News Group newspapers, Harry's lawyers added this headline, Harry named in P. Diddy t-fficking case, to his list of defamation complaints. They claimed the article was wildly misleading and part of a pattern of retaliation from Murdoch-owned outlets who wanted to damage Harry's reputation for suing them over past phone hacks and surveillance. The timing was suspicious. The headline dropped just as Harry's other case was heating up. His legal filings were clear. The story caused severe emotional distress. The headline implied criminal proximity where none existed. And most importantly, it created irreversible reputational damage. But legal action only goes so far. Even after settling multiple claims for over £10 million, Harry couldn't control the narrative anymore. His name was already trending beside Diddy's in connection to freak-offs, t-fficking networks, and secret Hollywood abuse. News aggregators don't care about nuance. Algorithms don't wait for court rulings. In public perception, damage spreads faster than correction. And that's the part that broke Harry's decades-long effort to reshape his image. He left the crown, he moved to Montecito, he told his story, but Diddy told his own version, and Harry's name was part of it. But here's the chilling truth. Diddy may never have had lunch with Prince Harry. He may never have gotten him to one of those infamous parties, but he still used him. He used the idea of Harry, the brand, the name, the fairy tale, and he wrapped it into a story that helped disguise years of alleged criminal activity behind glamour and fame. This wasn't a scandal, it was a hijacking. And if Diddy could pull someone like Harry, protected by security, legacy, media lawyers, and royal protocol, into his ecosystem without him ever attending a single party, then who else might be under that same invisible grip? That's what makes this moment terrifying. Because Harry is just one person on the checklist. What we now know is that Diddy had dozens of these connections. People who never realized their names were tools in a larger machine. Nancy Grace was right. Diddy didn't need to control your actions, just your appearance. He didn't need your presence, just your reputation. And once he had that, he had power. The Diddy trial isn't just about one man's crimes. It's about the ecosystem he built, the circles of influence, the people he wanted around him, and the ones he dragged in without their consent. Prince Harry is now one of those names, a casualty of proximity, ambition, and the power of perception. This is the danger of fame in the 21st century. You don't even have to show up to be implicated. And with Diddy still awaiting trial, with more victims stepping forward and media pressure mounting, don't be surprised if more high-profile names get dragged into this saga. Names that thought they'd left that world behind. But for Prince Harry, the damage is already done. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.